Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Since last night, there is one podcast which is going viral on YouTube, and this podcast features Mr. Vijay Mallya. In the whole podcast, which is of duration of more than 4 hours, there are certain important economic aspects which have been mentioned. Let's try and understand these concepts which you as a UPSC civil services aspirant should be aware of. Before I start the discussion, a very important announcement. If you're someone who is aiming to clear the civil services examination 2026 or 2027, you need to have a comprehensive coverage of the static syllabus, updation of current affairs, very good reading material, the prelims test series as well as the mains test series. All of this is available to you if you purchase our courses, which is available right now at a price of 19,999. And additionally, if you use the code IS English, you'll also get a free extension of up to 12 months. Those who are interested, please do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. Let me start the discussion and let me make you understand the important concepts which were mentioned in the podcast. Point number one, the global financial crisis and how it will have an impact on the companies, especially the civil aviation companies operating in India. Back in the year 2008, there was a global financial crisis which originated in USA but had a huge amount of impact on other economies as well, including India. But how does a civil aviation company, that is in this context, the company Kingfisher, was affected by the global financial crisis? You see, India imports huge amount of crude oil. This is not the first time that you will come across this statement, and this will not be the last time also you coming across this statement. Historically, if you see, in the range of 80% plus of the total demand in the Indian market, we import it from the global market. And whenever there is certain event, disrupting event in the global market, be it for example, the Russia-Ukraine crisis or depression in the global market or COVID crisis, or for that matter, the global financial crisis, one of the outcomes generally is that the crude oil prices in the international market will start going upwards. And being an importer, what will happen is the crude oil prices now, when imported into India, will become much more costlier. In addition to this, mind you, in addition to this, whenever these kind of crisis does take place outside India, what we generally observe is rupee will start depreciating. In a nutshell, for every dollar we start paying more amount of Indian rupees. Now imagine the crude oil price is a $1 or one barrel is equal to $50. It will increase to one barrel is equal to $75. And at the same point of time, India's rupee will also depreciate. That is, let's say it was $1 is equal to 50 rupees, it will become $1 is equal to 60 rupees. Because of these kind of factors, the crude oil prices, when imported, will become very, very high. And the impact of this is the crude oil is used, refined to manufacture or to basically derive aviation turbine fuel. Aviation turbine fuel is used in the civil aviation market, or the aeroplane uses aviation turbine fuel as a fuel to fly from point A to point B. This will in turn start increasing the cost of raw material for the companies, cost of inputs will increase, and this in turn will also increase the overall operational expenses. As such, this company, that is the Kingfisher Airlines, was already offering the tickets at premium prices. Now, because of these factors, the prices or the operational expenditures for the company further ballooned, which also hampered which also hampered the revenue potential as well as the profitability of the company. This is the first factor. Second one, the concept of consortium loans and personal guarantees. In fact, in the previous year, UPSC had asked a question on the concept of consortium loans. What is the meaning of a consortium loan here? Imagine I'll go to a bank and a single bank will provide a loan to me. But in certain cases, let's say a big company wants to take a loan of, let's say, 8,000 crore rupees or 9,000 crore rupees or 10,000 crore rupees. One single bank doesn't want to give this amount of a loan because it is very risky for one bank. In order to spread the risk, what generally these banks do is they will form a group of banks or a consortium of banks or financial lending institutions will come together. One bank out of this particular group will be recognized as a lead bank. What is the meaning of a lead bank? Imagine the total worth of the loan, total value of the loan is, right, let's say 5,000 crore rupees. Out of 5,000 crore, which are collectively being given by 10 banks, imagine one bank alone is offering a loan of 3,000 crore rupees. Again, just a hypothetical example. Or let's say 1,000 crore rupees. All the other banks are giving lesser value of loan. So in this case, one bank which is giving the highest amount of a loan generally is classified as a lead bank. Again, there are a lot of restrictions applicable. In case of a consortium lending, RBI imposes a lot of restrictions. Do not worry about the calculation. But in a nutshell, a bank which has given the highest amount of a loan out of all the banking institutions here is generally designated as a lead bank. And what is the importance of a lead bank and what is the importance of a consortium? By having a consortium, larger value of loans, especially for infrastructure, industries, etc., can be provided. At the same point of time, by having multiple number of lenders here, the risk can be distributed amongst these lenders rather than only one lender taking huge amount of a risk. This concept is called as a consortium loan. And in the context of Kingfisher company, very often you will come across SBI. Why SBI will be taking a lead or is there in the discussion in the context of Kingfisher company? It was one of the lenders, one of the biggest lenders in the consortium lending that was done to Kingfisher. Now there is also concept of a personal guarantee. Why is that? Mr. Vijay Mallya's assets have been confiscated. Why is that? These assets have been auctioned, sold off, and a certain amount of recovery is being done. Although right, there are different numbers which are floating in the newspaper, which has been offered by Mr. Vijay Mallya, etc. You don't worry about the numbers. There is a concept of contingent liabilities. Contingent liabilities. What is the meaning of a contingent liability? Listen to me very carefully. There is a relative of mine who is taking a loan. But if this relative doesn't repay the loan, I am going to give a guarantee. I am a guarantor of a loan in case if the person doesn't repay the loan. In this case, this loan amount will become my liability if the first person, that is my relative who has taken the loan, doesn't repay. Only in that condition, it becomes my liability. And these kind of liabilities are referred to as a contingent liability. You might be hearing it for the first time. Don't worry, this is a very common practice in the market. I'll give you one example. The government of India has launched an initiative by the name of NABFID, National Bank for Financing Infrastructure Development. Even in that concept, government of India has provided more than 30,000 crore worth of contingent liabilities, which means only in certain conditions these will become liabilities, not normally, only under certain conditions. So here, when the Kingfisher Airlines took a loan because it was facing certain crisis, it wanted to borrow, it has taken a loan. Mr. Vijay Mallya has provided personal guarantees. And because he has provided personal guarantees, Kingfisher company was not able to repay the loan. The assets of Mr. Vijay Mallya were taken away by the lender, were basically contested by the lenders. This is the concept of personal guarantees, which is part of contingent liability concept. Next, a willful defaulter concept. What is this idea of a willful defaulter? Reserve Bank of India's guidelines state that a borrower, it could be an individual, it could be a company, etc. A borrower who has the financial capability to repay the loan but will willfully default on the repayment. I'll repeat the statement. Please understand this carefully. A borrower who has to repay the loan has the financial capacity to repay the loan but will willfully, purposely default on the loan. Such kind of borrower is referred to as a willful defaulter. And according to the RBI guidelines, if I do not repay the loan, if I simply transfer the funds, giving one argument to Reserve Bank of, or let's say a bank which has given loan to me, I will take a loan in one pretext and I'll transfer the funds, use it for something else. Without any authorization, I will launder the money, etc. In certain conditions, I will be declared as a borrower, I'll be declared as a willful default. Mr. Vijay Mallya has been declared as a willful defaulter by State Bank of India. And once you are declared as a willful defaulter, what are the consequences of it? What will be the impact of it? Whenever you're classified as a willful defaulter, if you're getting access to, let's say, a credit, there is a line of credit available to you. Line of credit in the sense, there is certain amount of facility where periodically, whenever you require, you can keep on withdrawing money, which is nothing but a type of loan. If you are getting access to a credit line, it will be cut off. If you have any access to, let's say, capital market, you want to borrow from the capital market, you want to issue shares in the capital market and borrow from the capital market, that access will be cut off. So there are repercussions when you're classified as a willful defaulter. That is right, another very important concept. Next one, insolvency. Now, some of you might be thinking, sir, if the Kingfisher Airlines has defaulted on the repayment, I was watching a short. You are speaking about something called as a DRT, Debt Recovery Tribunal. There is no mention of NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal. Why? Listen to me very carefully. What is this concept of insolvency? Right now, in case of India, we have a law by the name of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, IBC 2016. Before IBC, we had different regulations, we had different laws. For example, there is or there was right a concept of the BIFR. There was right provisions under Companies Act. So earlier we had a fragmented framework for insolvency resolution, which means a borrower who is not in a position to repay the loan. That situation is called as insolvency. The amount of assets you have, those are not sufficient to take care of your liabilities. That is insolvent position. Now from 2016, we have introduced the concept of insolvency and bankruptcy code. Under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, there are two very important entities. One is NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal, and the other one is DRT, Debt Recovery Tribunal. If you are a company, that is, let's say under the Companies Act, you have borrowed, you are not able to repay. In such cases, the application will be filed at NCLT. And if you are an individual borrower, retail borrower, if you are not able to repay the loan, then the application will be filed in DRT or at a Debt Recovery Tribunal. Now, in this case, the application, because he was a personal guarantor, in this case, the application has been filed at Debt Recovery Tribunal. At Debt Recovery Tribunal. And that is the precise reason. Listen to me carefully now. He basically cites what is the order of DRT, how much has been recollected by the banks so far, how much he owes to the banks so far, etc. But more importantly, why not NCLT? Why was the case or the application not filed at NCLT? Like I said, this IBC came into force in 2016, and the issue associated with Kingfisher Airlines started back in the year 2012 itself. By the time IBC was implemented, many of the lenders felt there is no sufficient assets that are left out with the company which they can basically recover from by going to NCLT. So this is basically the concept of insolvency, NCLT, DRT, etc. that you need to understand. Finally, he also mentioned that he has been designated as a fugitive economic offender. Why? That was his question. When all the money has been recovered, etc., why still I'm being designated as a fugitive economic offender? Now, I'm not going to either argue in favor of it or against it. For you as a UPSC aspirant, you need to simply understand what is this concept of fugitive economic offender. If you're someone who has been accused of economic offenses, for example, money laundering or something associated with the checks, etc., or security papers, etc. If you're someone who has been accused of committing an economic offense and the value of the offense is more than 100 crore rupees, a special court has issued an arrest warrant against you. You have escaped from India. You are not accepting to come back to India and face the consequences. In such cases, you are designated, you are announced or basically notified as a fugitive economic offender. Is everybody okay with this? I'll repeat it again. If you have been alleged to be involved in, right, let's say economic offenses, value is more than 100 crore rupees, there is a arrest warrant which has been issued against you by a special court under PMLA, and you have escaped from India, you are not willing to come back to India and face consequences or face the allegations. In such cases, you will be designated as a fugitive economic offender. In such cases, all your assets can be confiscated by the authorities. You will not be given any right to basically file a complaint against such confiscation. And right now, Mr. Vijay Mallya, along with many others, have been designated as the fugitive economic offenders. The law associated with the fugitive economic offenders was introduced by the government of India with the implementation or with the passage of the bill, and which became an act in 2018. So these are certain very important points that you as a civil services aspirant must understand, associated with all the discussion that has been happening in context of the viral podcast of Dr. or Mr. Vijay Mallya. That's it from my side in this particular video. If you have benefited, if you have attained any kind of knowledge from this particular session, please show us your appreciation by hitting the like button and commenting in the section below. If you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.